This most illustrious and noble city, none other is more famous for the immensity of its glory, the wisdom of its government, the long duration of its rule, or for other features worthy of praise. The matchless convenience of its admirable buildings, the wealth of incredible riches, its numberless subjects, the industry of excellent men, the infinite variety of its possessions, the divine institutions of the Republic, the immortal value of its nobles.
You Venetians are wrong to disturb the peace of Italy, and not to rest content with the fine state that is yours. If you knew how everyone hates you, your hair would stand on end.
In the 16th century, Venice was a city of spectacle and rhetoric, of theater and illusion. It saw itself as an ideal city, as the modern culmination of the ancient city-state, with its good life, its humane values, its sense of play even. And it dramatized itself as an ideal city, both for its own inhabitants and for the world outside. This civic drama was acted out through processions, ceremonies, and spectacle, and through art and architecture. But this grand illusion, whose stage was the city itself, was founded in reality. By the 1500s, Venice claimed 1,000 years of history as a free and independent republic. The chill wind of economic change, the decline of empire, had not yet touched its self-confidence. It was still rich in trade and crafts, its imperial possessions still spread out across the Mediterranean and into the Italian mainland, as here at Vicenza. So the theater and the spectacle were props for a powerful empire which had survived for so long by hard-headed business acumen, by skillful diplomacy, and when those failed, by sheer military force.
The cast of characters who paraded on this spectacular stage included the gods of antiquity, whose attributes the city took as its own. Like ancient Athens, Venice personified itself as a woman, as Serenissima, the serene, as Venus, the sensual. The city even claimed a special relationship with the Virgin Mary, virtuous and pure. Behind its spectacular mask, the Republic used its prisoners of war as slaves, employed thousands of prostitutes, and preserved the privilege of democracy for a small clique of nobles. But compared with the tyrannies of princes and popes, Venice in the 16th century seemed uniquely free. It attracted talent from the rest of Italy, men like Jacopo Sansovino, who brought from Rome a language of architecture and sculpture ideal for Venice's desire to impress. David Rosand has analyzed the visual language of Sansovino.
At the foot of the Campanile, opposite the entrance to the Doge's palace, Sansovino created a loggia, a small porch whose monumental sculptural decoration and classical architectural form declared the virtues of the Republic. The reigning image of the complex was the figure of Venice herself, Venice triumphant, Venice personified as justice, the highest virtue of the state. To that traditional imagery, however, Sansovino brought a new kind of language from Rome, the language of the Olympian gods. The figure of Minerva, of course, represents wisdom, the wisdom of the ancients who were so clever as to have established this constitutional republic. The figure of Mercury represents eloquence, and eloquence is one of the fundamental political virtues of Venice. We must also remember that Mercury is the god of commerce, and that is the real foundation of Venice. The figure of peace is, of course, the ultimate virtue that is guaranteed by Venice. Venice brings peace to the world in the way that the ancient Romans had brought peace to the world. And then there is Apollo. Apollo is, after all, god of the sun, Sol in Italian. And Sol also stands for one, that is solo. And Apollo is one, Apollo is unique. Apollo is alone in all of this, just as, of course, Venice is alone, unique in the world.
Venetian artists, Giorgione, Veronese, Tintoretto, and above all Titian, transformed these public personifications and made them private, poetic, and desirable, paintings commissioned by men who were proud of their sophistication.
The Venus of Urbino is domesticated. She's brought indoors. She's put into the context of the bedroom. Two handmaids are in the background. One of them kneels over a chest, a marriage chest, the kind of chest that would hold a trousseau. So a marital theme is established there as surely as it is established by the myrtle plant that is so prominently silhouetted in the background. The myrtle, a plant in perpetual bloom as a symbol of perpetual love. The dog asleep at her feet, a symbol of fidelity. As overtly sensual as her appeal is, this Venus invites us to celebrate marital love. The attributes around her make this very clear, and yet she has lost none of her sensuality. Indeed, she will be transformed by Titian into a variety of other figures. One of the variations Titian produced is the image that includes Venus with a Cupid. There are a few prominent symbols that Titian has introduced, which are really quite ironic in a way, and give us some sense of the range of cultural play available in this kind of painting. The partridge is a bird that Titian actually used in a scene of the Annunciation, because in ancient mythology, it is a bird that is so highly sexed that merely the voice of the male or the wind from his beating wings is sufficient to impregnate the female. So too with the glass vase with its rose, the imagery of light passing through glass without breaking it, symbolically embodying the passage of the Logos, of the Word of God, of the Incarnation through the Virgin without destroying her virginity. The dog now is awake. No longer does he seem to stand for fidelity, but rather seems to activate the scene by his yapping. And certainly it would have been the kind of visual punning that Titian's audience would have been responsive to. They would have recognized symbols. They would have recognized the reappropriation or misappropriation of them and would have perhaps smiled knowingly, perhaps have congratulated the painter on his witty invention.
Woman as goddess and courtesan.